Hi guys, welcome back to another video on my YouTube. So this video is going to be how I made a Moonlight wolf. This is an original sculpt that I sculpted when I first started as a wolf, and I cast it in resin multiple times, and then I sort of retired the sculpt, and I thought I'd pull out the original one and make it like a final hurrah doll for this little sculpt. So it is originally sculpted out of Super Sculpey, and I sort of drilled out the eyes and added some glass eyes because I wanted to make it a bit more realistic, because most of my dolls are way more realistic these days than when I first started, when I was painting the eyes. And yeah, so I added some red glass eyes. I knew I wanted to do something with red and blue, and I'm just securing them with some epoxy sculpt and sort of giving it a meaner looking gaze than what I originally did, and the way I do my eyes now are different from what I did at the start as well. So I'm just priming things before I start painting. I'm using a water-based acrylic paint just to paint all the areas that are going to be exposed under the faux fur, and it includes the feet. The feet are cast in resin as well, so I've sculpted these and then made a mold and then cast them in resin, and I attached the ball and socket armature to those pieces, and then I put it all together once it's all dry. And I'm using a 1/4 scale ball and socket armature for this doll, and before I start felting anything on top of it, I usually add some pipe cleaners around, just so the polyfill has something to stick to, because plastic is obviously really slippery and it sort of has a hard time sticking to it and felting around it. So I find adding the pipe cleaners really helps with just making the polyfill sturdy and giving it something to stick to, so you can work a bit faster than trying to chase around a piece of felt on a plastic ball and socket armature. So really simple process of just felting the body. You don't have to go too crazy with the details, because I end up covering it with faux fur anyway. So it's like the faux fur is like a skin, and this is like the muscle tone that goes under the skin. So I just build up the body using some reference images on my computer to make sure I've got all the dimensions right and all of the muscle tone right. And I prefer doing it this way because you can get that muscle tone and be a bit more specific with and refine the body a little bit more than just what my previous one was, which was more of like sewing a teddy bear type body and then putting the armature through and everything. So this bit takes longer, but I think the results are better and way more refined, and make the doll look more realistic as well. So once I've done that, I end up doing the torso piece first. So I basically have like a bigger piece of faux fur, or two pieces of faux fur that I sort of wrap around the body, and then sort of cut out the pieces and around the legs and sew up the body end. This one I'm adding a black stripe down the back, so I ended up sewing that first, so I could sort of refine it over the polyfill that I felted, and just cut any excess off that I need to cut off. And I think this stripe kind of really brought it together and sort of made like a base on how I wanted to do this doll, because I was just sort of winging it with this one. I didn't really have much of a plan. And yeah, I sort of worked off that, and then I decided to go with black legs, just to complement the black stripe at the back. Luckily this faux fur is very similar to each other, so I didn't have to do too much blending, and I am sewing up all of the pieces with a lattice stitch. Once that's all sewn up, I can start gluing all the pieces together, and I'm using a tacky fabric glue, nothing special. It just works really well for sticking fabric to clay, and you can probably find something in your local craft store as well. So once that's all done, I can start trimming everything and adding the faux fur onto the face, and just cleaning up all of the little ends that need to be cleaned up. It gets a little bit messy around the eye area, but I just, tweeze out little pieces that need to be tweezed out, and then redo all of the paint, refine a little bit more of, where the black is that I painted at the start of the video, and any little details that you want to add. as well, I go ahead and add it at this time as well. So I'm going to be adding some stripes using this tulip fabric marker. That's the size that I have. It's probably a little bit small for the big markings that I was doing, but I have these markers in a 2-pack, and I have a larger pack of different size markers in my shop. So if you want to do little marks on your art dolls or fabric or anything like that, check that out. These markers are pretty cool, and they dry really well. It doesn't leave the faux fur crispy like some of them do. So yeah, I don't have much in my shop, but you can check that out. They come in really handy as opposed to using fabric paints. These are really handy to use as pens. So I'm just going ahead and adding all the little finer little details like these markings. This also was spur of the moment thing. Didn't plan to put markings on it, but I think it needed it. I think we just blended it a bit better, and it just looked kind of unfinished without the markings. So definitely 100% needed these markings, but yeah, and lucky I have these markers. So this little one will be available in my shop, so check that out, creaturesandnat.com. Payment plans are welcome. Just ask me beforehand and I can let you know how to do it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that stuff helps my channel grow. You can check me out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and thank you to my patrons for supporting me. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.